I'm the underdog with the heroic heart. I'm Eric Jones Jr. I have to keep pushing for my kids. If I give up, what's that leave them with? Nothing. I have to understand that it's bigger than me. That it's not about me when I wake up and go to work. It's not about me when I read and educate myself. It's not about me when I'm practicing my speeches. It's not about me. It's about my family. Hey, you're now tuned in to Underdog Talk, and I'm your host, Eric Jones Jr., the underdog with the heroic heart, and I have conversations with successful underdogs, and today I have Let Them Talk Indie. How are you all doing?
Good.
Doing well.
Doing good.
Y'all my first multi-guest, so I appreciate y'all.
Right on.
Yep. Y'all ain't bring no snacks or nothing?
No.
You had some.
Right.
No. I gave y'all water. That's
water.
Right.
So, I just started this on my last one. Fun fact. So I need a fun fact from all of you. Ladies first.
A fun fact. I was born 2 pounds my youngest. Born 2.5 months early.
Okay.
Fun fact. I want to know if it's still for 2.5 years. From that
Fun fact, I am a classically trained tenor. I sing opera.
Alright. You couldn't have went before him. Let's see. I gotta think of a new one every time. My original name was Eric Thomas, but my dad and my mom switched it so I can have it like that. Yeah. So let's get into you guys. Hey, when you talk, can you speak up a little bit? Yeah. Or you can push the mic closer to you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So let them talk indie. Somebody explain what that is. Why did you guys create it?
So Let Them Talk. Really, we started planning and trying to put everything together about over a year ago now. I have known Anthony for a while, but we went to a conference together and we met Daniel and just kind of a group of Black people. And we were at this conference and we were like, this is great information. Wonderful information. However, we don't see us in this information. We don't see the kids that we serve in this information or in this data. And so for the rest of the time, we were sitting there planning like, so what are we doing next? We're going to do our own thing. And he was like, I want to do this. And I'm like, say less. And then we talked to Daniel. He was like, I'm going to do whatever we want to do. So we said, okay, we're going to do our own thing. We want to have something that is for us, by us. And so, again, having conversations, the three of us kind of getting together, connecting over the course of the last year, and we're like, let's just do it. And started working out all of the interworkings of Let Them Talk. And so we are a 501c3 organization. We are not just established to serve Indianapolis or Marion County. We are serving statewide. We are also serving, we want to be able to serve nationwide. And so what we're doing is really working to bridge some generational gaps, to address some adversities and some disparities that are in some places in the communities that serve our Black and brown kids. And then also equipping our youth workers, our youth service workers, youth service leaders with the resources and the training that they need to really impact this community of youth that they are working with. And then so everything that we're doing though is really being amplified by the voices of our youth. And so that's where Let Them Talk came from, because we want everything that we do to be through the lens, to be through the voice of these youth. We have the framework, but we don't know it all and we don't have all the answers, but we want the youth to come and tell us, this is what I need, this is what we need, this is what we want the adults to need. This is what we want the adults to know, and to really start kind of building some initiatives and some things that we can really focus on. And so one of the things that we're doing is building a youth impact team. They're going to be called the Trailblazers. And so they're going to kind of come in and work alongside us and really do the things that they want to do, to really be innovators or to really be creative in their spaces, but really, like I said, to really amplify their voice. And so we're doing that. And then the hope is next year that we'll be having a conference for those youth service leaders and those youth workers, and even people in the community that are allies, particularly Black people. So I can say something for us, by us, but if you're an ally and support what we're doing, you can come. But we want to target those parents and communities because they don't get a lot of that information, and so we want to be this resource hub for these organizations for the community. So that's where Let Them Talk came from. That's what we're doing. That's what we're about.
All right, so she the boy touchy. All right.
Nope, that's just my part. I can do that part.
I love that you guys are including their parents, because working in schools, it's like you could give the kids all the information, but then they go home and the parents don't do nothing or don't help them or don't have the resources to help them. So I love that. So you guys don't all know it. You guys kind of just met, but you know each other. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, once again, my name is Daniel Mills. I am from Sacramento, California. I've been working with youth for about 16 years. And, I got tired of working within somebody else's system. Trying to fit into their system and trying to help people within the parameters that they gave us. Cause it's not the healing that drives us crazy towards burnout. It's usually the bureaucracy. So, but I'm just somebody passionate about change. And I won't take no for an answer. Because I believe that we have the opportunity to change, and that opportunity begins with us. And if we continue to neglect our responsibilities, then we just hurt the fruits of our labor. I love it.
So, again, my name is Anthony Battle. I am originally from Tarboro, North Carolina, very small town. And I'm a product of nonprofits, and I'm also a product of deep South systemic racism, right? Telling me that, boy, know your place. You don't aim to achieve that, because that's not what we do. And I realized as I was growing up in youth work, I used to work in Pike Township as an educator. And in that, realizing that there's a lot of Black and brown boys just like me. A lot of our Black and brown boys are getting suspended starting at 4 and 5 years old, creating that school to prison pipeline because somebody said, boy, know your place. And I realized that some of the systems were not doing anything to change that. So I had a Berlin Wall experience myself. I wanted to connect people and bring enough people to break down that wall, to get people to realize that there's an issue. There's a reason why our kids are suffering, because we're being conditioned, young as 4 and 5, young as 3 and 4, that this is where you should stay, this is what you should do, this is how much you can do, and anything outside of that, you're wrong. So Let Them Talk, and what we're doing is telling our Black and brown families and young people that they can do more than what society tells them they can do when equipped with the right tools and the right resources and the right advancement. So that's our passion. That's what we're doing. I'm excited to get people to come along and join the team with us.
Again, Heather Savage. I have been in youth work almost 10 years, a little over 10 years. I started off at Department of Child Services and doing that work there, and so that's a whole different world than being in the nonprofit space. But one of the things for me that I was able to take from there, my team and I started working with the youth who had the juvenile delinquency involvement, the human trafficking involvement. And for me, it was going to court representing those kids and them not having anybody in the room, one that looked like them, but then two, not having anybody that they even knew. Nobody was blood, nobody was family. And so it was heartbreaking, that you got these kids that are just sitting in here in this juvenile detention facility, and they got a court hearing once every 3 months, and nobody can show up to be with them, to support them. And so I really just kind of work with my team and build my team up to be there, to be supportive to these kids that were on their caseload, but also how can we intervene early with these families and with the community and with the schools, so we are getting these calls first. What conversations can we have within this 30-day period that we can defer this family away from the court without them having to come in? Because normally we'll get this report and they'll get just to be transparent, they'll get a white case manager that just like, they believing that you did all this stuff and they're like, oh, we're going to go ahead and file this petition. Absolutely not. So when we switch from permanency to assessment, I'm like, we got 30 days and we're going to use the entire 30 days because what we're not going to do is keep on sending our kids to this juvenile detention facility and putting them in a worse situation than they were at home. But then also, I'm getting on the phone with my man 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and she's like, I don't want him anymore. 17 years old and now you don't want him. Ma'am, come get your kid. Or I'm going to get him and I'm going to bring him to you so you can meet me there, you can meet me here, whatever you want to do. But having those conversations with those parents, like, not what's wrong with you, why you did it, but like what's happening, what's going on, like let's just talk, let's be real. And so I think that, that's what it was for me, is that wanting to continue to build more leaders and more social workers that are in this space to really equip them and give them what they need so that we don't continue to have those situations with our Black and brown kids that we're serving in the community.
I love that. I resonate to what you were saying about the 4 and 5 year olds, because I was a kindergarten teacher and I'm like, I'm not trying to write no kid up, because in my mind I'm like, me writing them up is like a police report. You keep going and it starts at that young age. And me being an educator, I didn't like school, I hated school, I just went because you had to go. But now I look at kids and I'm like, they might not like being here, or they learn a different way, or they got stuff going on at home. Like, I think teachers and educators, they don't give kids grace. It's like they got a lot of stuff going on. So sometimes when they make bad decisions, that's all they know, is because they don't have somebody around that looks like them in a positive light. So I got a question, since we all talking about youth and education. What do y'all think about the positive reinforcement that like schools are doing now? It's more of a slap you on your wrist and nothing happened to you, but you just keep being bad or you keep doing whatever you're doing. What's your thoughts on that?
So working at the school, it's a double-edged sword. Because we definitely need the positive affirmation, but we need the structure as well. So there has to be some type of balance. And I think the thing that gets lost is, well, we did the structure, but that didn't work, so we're going to go all the way to affirmation and see if that works. And it's like, no, we need a balance of both. Because, yes, we want to validate who you are, but then we want to encourage you to get effort in who you're going to become. Our goal is not to continue to do what someone else tells us to do. We need our young people to think independently. And we can give you affirmation to think independently, but we also need you to problem solve. So everything that comes up, we're not just going to pat you on your back, go give you a slap on the wrist and let you walk away. We need to figure out some solutions, because what we're doing sometimes is unacceptable. And if we continue to accept it, like you said, we're creating a culture. We're creating a new norm, and we can't accept that norm.
Fun fact, right? Indiana is one of 7 states in the country that does not automatically appoint a child 12 or older in juvenile system a lawyer or representative. Let's process that. So you're Black or brown or white, kid go to juvenile detention and they are stuck sitting there, and nobody will say, this is your court appointed, this is your representative. So that's the importance of let them talk. Let them talk. Knowing that information will be that resource to come in and say, hey, you do know you need a lawyer. This is why. Immigration is huge in Indiana, and we are just now having conversations of getting immigration court in Indiana, right? There's a lot of kids who are struggling, one, because they don't know the language, they're getting snatched from their family, and then I'm in detention centers, and nobody's here that looks like me to represent me or to talk for me. So that's why Let Them Talk is coming in these spaces and coming in these rooms, saying, okay, you don't want to do it, but we do. Call us. We'll go. We'll make sure that this kid knows everything that they need to know. And they are represented. There's a lot of lawyers that are willing to do this work, but they're waiting to be connected to do it. Because we all, as powerful as we all want to be, we are not as powerful until we unite. So we all have our individual strengths and our individual powers. But what power do we possess when we all come together? So when those policymakers, when those lawyers, when those educators, when these nonprofits, these Let Them Talk organizations come together and say, Now we have the structure to really create change. We can't do it by ourselves.
I love that answer. I love that answer. So, what is Heather explained like kind of the vision, but what's like the long term of what you guys want to do with what you're doing? Because it sounds like it's going to be something amazing. But what's your guys, the head of it, the vision for the long term?
So it's two parts. First, we want to create generational advantage. Because connecting our elders to our younger generations is going to be helpful. We need some of that wisdom, that guidance, but also we need the wisdom and guidance of our young people. But more so than that, what we are doing is as we're breaking generational curses, we're creating generational advantages. We are also setting a precedent for all of those who are looking at what we're doing. Because we're not only offering help for our youth, we're offering help for our youth workers. So we want to help heal those who are helping to heal. A lot of times we get into youth work and we get drained. And we don't have anywhere to fill up. Like we're at the conference and we're like, well, this is dry. and you have that yearning for refreshment. And we're going to be the place where you get it. Because we understand what it's like. And to continue this fight and to have nothing to point into you, put you in a position where you're drained, and you become more of a hindrance than a help. And so if we want to work effectively, we need to act like we understand the process. And if we want our kids to work together, us adults have to work together. One thing that Let Them Talk is going to do is going to bridge many different companies, because a lot of times we recreate the wheel so many times that we never get it rolling. Mm-hmm. And our goal is to not only get it rolling, but let's get some traction, let's get some momentum. Because Let Them Talk is not something that's just going to affect Indianapolis. This is a culture change. This is a culture shift. And this is our opportunity, and our time is now.
63% of youth workers across the country have stated that they have suffered from some form of type 1 or type 2 PTSD. That's huge. 63% of educators, counselors, people who see youth every day have reported that they suffer from first-hand or secondary post-traumatic stress. When we looked at those statistics, we said something has got to change. Because what I hear when I hear that is a lot of educators and youth workers are teaching and are giving support and giving advice, and they're struggling. So Let Them Talk was designed to give these educators, to give these youth workers an outlet to breathe, an outlet to say, forget these kids. I don't want to. And that be okay, right? We get in our professions and we're sometimes not allowed to say what we truly feel in that moment. It does not mean that it's time for us to retire or it's time for us to find another position. No, it just means I need a moment to see what's happening, be mad at what's happening, and then do the healing and get the resources to then serve the community. That's the piece that we're missing. We're missing that piece of youth workers being able to heal correctly. We have to change that number. 63%? That's dang near all of our educators and all of our youth workers saying we're struggling daily. We're teaching and we're suffering. These kids are pouring into us, telling us their life stories, and we're taking that burden home, and then we can't raise our kids. Let Them Talk will be that avenue for them to heal, for them to get resources, for them to get advice. Even if it's just, you got it, keep pushing. You got it, you can do it. Because we don't have those spaces. We go to these conferences and they put more data on us and they dump more statistics on us, and then they give us a taco bar for lunch and a cookie for a snack, and then say, go create change. I'm overwhelmed because you didn't tell me how. Yeah. You just told me all the issues. Yeah. Let Them Talk want to change that. We're going to give you the data, right? We're going to give you why it's important for Let Them Talk, but we're also going to create those spaces where you can say, and then somebody can say, what do you all think we should do? And then accompany that with the young person and say, hey, this is what we need from you. All the things that you were saying, we don't need that. This is what we need. So that's what we're doing. That's our long-term goal. For us to go across this country to schools, to even after school programs, to residential facilities, the juvenile detention facilities, saying, what do you need from us? What can we do? What training? Even if we need to come in and evaluate what your staff is doing, to say, that's not what should be happening. That's our long-term goal.
I love that because y'all point on. Because as an educator, it's like days you go home and you drain. You like skip everything else. I ain't doing nothing. I gotta take a nap or go to sleep. I don't have the energy. And then you could be dealing with life, and then you dealing with these new age kids that's disrespectful, don't want to listen. Then they telling you can't do nothing to give them consequences. So it's like, what do I do? So that's definitely needed. And you're right about them. They need to stop with the conflict. You know what I'm saying? Like, they be boring. And 90% of the food don't be good.
At all. So that's the reason, one of the things that we are strategic about, we're going to start doing Melanin Table Talk. And what they're just evenings of conversation with those youth workers, because we don't want to say we're going to have this amazing conference and not have these people at the table saying this is what we want to see at the conference. We don't want to say we're going to have this conference and then create the same exact thing that we hated. So these Melanin Table Talks will definitely be conversations for our youth workers, our allies, and our youth to come and say, this is what we would like to see at a conference or a summit. We want the data, we want the training, but we also need a moment to just be in rooms of like-minded people and just talk.
Yeah, because what you said earlier, like, I'm that person that's going to say how I feel at that moment. Don't really care how you take it. And they look at me like, oh, he's crazy. Why would he say that? Why would you say? Because that's how I feel. Don't mean I'm going to go do nothing. I just want to release. I need to say it out so I don't be angry or go and lash out at a kid or something. And I don't think teachers, they don't realize that. Like, just let it out. You don't have to be all uppity and show, like, just because you're a teacher, you're still human. I think sometimes people put a label to themselves and think they're not a human. You're still a human. Stuff still happens. And, like, that would be perfect to go and talk, especially with the people that look like us, because there's not too many people that look like us men here in the schools.
Right.
Like, I done went to, like, a couple of districts or townships, and it's not too many.
Right.
And that's sad, but part of that is because it's draining. So, as you guys, gentlemen, being educators, how do you feel about being educated as a black man? What are y'all thoughts on that?
My responsibility. To see what's going on and to allow it to continue to perpetuate on my younger brothers is irresponsible. So it's my responsibility to educate. And if I want the world to change, I cannot rely on the education system as it is to create change. One of our goals is to etch new pathways by which we can become successful, because some of the traditional pathways weren't created for us. So, what do I feel about education? It's necessary to the degree that we're going to do it by any means necessary. And I think education is something that is so vital that if we get into the right spaces, we can transform the narrative. Because our education system was created during the industrial age, created to make employees. We don't want to be employees. If you look at that, most of our kids want to be entrepreneurs. So how are we still teaching you to be the employee? And we're saying our job market is suffering. And we're saying our colleges are suffering because they don't want to go into that system anymore. And if we refuse to hear their voices, then we might as well just go ahead and see what's next, because we're looking for chaos.
My answer is quite different. I was in a workshop today, actually, and one of the questions that we were asked, how do you feel when you are rejected, right? And then how do you feel when you're accepted? So my answer in the accepted column was fear. And the whole room went, huh? And I said, as a black man, being accepted as a black educator, being accepted and saying, yes, you can teach. It's fear, because what if I don't do it right? I am now hindering every black male educator that's coming after me. What if I don't teach right? What if I'm not an agent changer? I am hindering every black boy that's in my classroom. I know how that makes me feel. I have to change that. I have to change that mindset. That once you get accepted, you stop it. You don't have to be scared anymore. But right now, it is terrifying. Yes, I am in the room, but I don't want to be. This is why I don't give you. That's why I don't give you people a chance. So that burden of being correct all the time, it can be overwhelming. And I don't want to keep that generational curse on my young boys. I want them to realize you can be accepted and be cool. You know, overthink it. We have been conditioned to overthink everything in the black community. You can't just be. So let them talk and give space for our young people to just be.
I agree with both of y'all answers. I feel what you're saying, because it's like, as a black man, can I be myself? Can I say the thoughts that come to my mind? I might talk more so like the kids. I might not dress like you. That's not accepted. I feel that. But then I feel what you're saying. It's like, I don't have to be in the school to do it. I can be somewhere else, but I can touch the kids still, because that's what I want. I don't want to, like, the education system is set up for workers. Nobody want to work no more. We want our own. We want what the other people got. We want it for ourselves. So now it's people there that are putting us in place to do it. But like the way they even teach math, like I'm a second grade interventionist and I'm helping the kid. And they talk about number bond and this and that. I'm like, no, you bring this down and carry the one, and then you done. And it's like y'all teaching them all that for what? That's not gonna help them. As long as they know how to count, add, subtract, divide a little bit, you can divide a little bit. And but they want to push, or because a black boy looks a certain way, or maybe he's never been around a white person and he heard, just like the little Timmy, oh, don't go around those black people, they're niggers. Or the black person might have heard, well, no, don't mess with them white people. And he doesn't accept you, and then you're, writing him up every day. Oh, well, he has the attitude, he has this. No, that's why I love being in the schools, but then it's draining. It's draining as a black man, because you can't be yourself. Like if I got big red headphones come in, I'm blasting my music to get me pumped up. They looking at, like, whatever you would, Taylor Swift, that's what you listen to. I can listen to what I want to. So I agree with what both of y'all said, but I feel more so what, like you said. Because when you go to those conferences, how many of us do you see?
I could literally count on my hand how many.
We put like 3 at this conference.
At the conference that we were at, yeah. I can really count on my hands how many black youth workers I saw, and I can count on one hand how many male black youth workers I saw, and that's only 4 of us.
Yeah, and in my school, no black man is in the classroom as a teacher. We're all like help, support, or whatever, or admin. It's like nobody in there that looks, and that's where we fail. Like you said, education is important. It's your responsibility. It's our responsibility, but we got to figure out how we can do it our way. Because the educational way, the school way, it ain't really the move. I don't really like it.
What is the difference between training and education? So the way that school is set up right now is to train you to regurgitate facts and information the way that they gave it to you. It never taught you to learn. And so that's the biggest difference. We want to encourage independent thought. Because once you're able to create independent thought and think for yourself, there are no obstacles in front of you. There are only problems to be solved. And I think a lot of times we get stopped because we look at education, we're like, well, that's not for us. Yeah, but I'm going to take the pieces that's for us. And I'm going to move on out your face. Yeah. And I think we need to look at it as a tool versus a necessity to tell us what's right and wrong. I remember I said a TED Talk, and it was a scientist, and she said, you know what the crazy thing about textbooks is? What's written in the textbook can be changed tomorrow, but today is looked at as a fact. And that's what we need to really understand. Everything in these books can change. And as we work on changing our narrative, we're not only going to look at what's in the books differently, we're going to write our own. And that's the goal. Because we don't want to be dependent on the systems that we already have. And bro, that's enough. We're okay. We don't need you. Because the less dependent that we are on you, the less influence you have over us. So let's move in a way that exhibits our intent. We want to be free. We're going to move like we're free. You know, the kids tell me what I got to do. Tell me, come on, man. We too strong for that. I go into a room, and I ain't gonna lie, I make white people uncomfortable. Why? Because I'm gonna speak, but I'm gonna speak in a way with so much power and authority that you don't know where that came from. But that's because I was able to overcome my mirror. And I think a lot of young men and women that look like us haven't been able to overcome the mirror. Because the person that they see in the mirror ain't the same person they want everybody else to see. And I think social media has helped us create that monster too. And we need to slay that monster in our community. Because we don't need a persona as much as we need people. And if we don't really recognize that and move in that, then I don't know what we desire to happen next.
Yeah, I like that because when you walk in a room, you got to make sure the ground shakes. You got to be confident. It don't matter if you're the only black person in the room or it's a bunch of you look like, no matter where you're going. That's like for me. People look at me, you look crazy all you want. I'm a man just like you, man. I walk with confidence. And that, being a black man and being in education, that helps kids. Because some kids don't have confidence. Some kids don't even want to speak out. And then you actually sit down and talk to them. You're like, oh, you do need to go sit down and talk to somebody. Because your life is a little crazy. Your life is a little worse than mine, and I'm an adult. So having that confidence helps the children. So you, as a woman, how do you see education for black women?
For black women?
Being in the education system.
So it's interesting. It's kind of two parts. So I think for me, as I've been in school forever. I am a professional student, but I got my master's, now I'm getting my doctorate. But even in this space, I still feel like I have to, I have to defend myself. I gotta defend who I am, what I'm saying, how I'm writing, how I'm expressing myself in class, and even just last week, I did an assignment and my professor sent me this email was like, oh, the way you're writing is a little confusing. What's confusing about it? Because what I said was very, very clear. My sentence was very, very clear. So help me understand. And when I wrote her back and was like, give me, some more information, tell me more. And then you're like, I need this literature and I need this. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me what I need then. And then she was like, oh, well, I wasn't saying it like that. No, that's what you said. Stay on that, because that's what you said. But I think a lot of times they think that we are not smart or we are not equipped with what we need to have. Even this is a doctor of social work program. I know what I'm talking about. Clearly, I'm here. You're not gonna make me feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't do that to me. And so, even in this space and at this level, with the experience, the education, and just the general knowledge of just being a black woman, and really trying to navigate that, it's still I'm gotta do all this to try to get through all of these hoops, and it's at some points it is a little bit discouraging because it's like, okay, listen. But then when I'm sitting down doing my work and I'm like, I know what I'm talking about, I'm just gonna go with it and we'll see how it comes out. And so I think that even at that level, we've got to get those doctors and those professors and those educators, even at that level too. They need it needs to be a mindset shift. It has to be a change because they're very much so in this one space and looking through this one lens. And again, it just kind of feels like they're not, but they're not used to seeing us. They're not just black women. Black men, they're not used to seeing us in those spaces. So I just take it as, well, either it's a compliment and you really just don't know how to respond or you really don't know how to receive what I'm saying. And just because you're not used to having black people or used to teaching black women, so I'm just keep doing what I'm doing. And then I think on the other side of it, being a black woman as an educator or even as a leader, it's, you still have to defend yourself in what you're doing, and you got to show up in this way, and you have to be this certain way to fit kind of this mold. And if you do anything and operate a little bit outside of that mold, they're gonna be like, wait a minute, you're not following the curriculum, you're not doing this. I had a conversation. I went to an event maybe last month, and one of the ladies on the panel was saying, I connected with my kids through music and asking them how they felt, and really kind of like that social emotional learning, but really trying to get to know them and know more about them. And she was like, I got to the curriculum eventually, but she was like, it wasn't that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I never got disciplined or like really in trouble, but it was always somebody was coming in my room to watch me. It was always somebody was coming in my room to see what I was saying or see how I was moving and operating with my kids. Like, why her kids love her so much? You know, like that type of thing. And it's like, why do we do that? Y'all can do whatever y'all want in y'all classrooms. But then when we start kind of doing things differently, then, like I said, we're kind of under this like microscope of things. So I think hopefully Let Them Talk will bring more awareness to those type of things. And again, like I said, this is not a black white thing. This is not what this is. Yes, majority of our support, the majority of our resources and services and things that we are going to be offering and things that we're going to try to initiate are for our minority kids and our black and brown kids. But of course, yes, if you are an ally and you can stand with us, and you can rock with us to what we're doing, we want you. But also know that we are coming in to shake some tables. We are coming in to have some conversations. We are coming in to push back on these narratives that have existed. And so you can either get with it or you can't. But yes, that is what we're here to do. And so I think that we just have to continue to do those things. And like you said, be confident when we go into our spaces and be who we are. And I'm not going to stop writing the way that I'm writing because I've got 7 A's so far in my classes, and you can either get with it or you can't, but it sucks that we have to feel like we got to overperform and like overdo it just to make you feel like okay. And I think we want to get to a point where our youth and the young ladies and even the young men don't feel like they have to overperform and overcompensate and overdo this and overdo that. So
yeah, I feel you on that because last year, it was my first year as a kindergarten teacher, and I had a co-teacher. She didn't look like me, and our class was the number one class. We had all the good grades. We had some bad kids, but that's nowhere here or there. But we had the highest class. They were like, yeah, you don't teach the curriculum right. I don't. But y'all, they got the highest class. They got the highest score. Something is right that I'm doing. But like you said, because music or the way I talk, the way I move. So they were like, yeah, we're not going to bring you back. And I'm not going to say the school name. They might, they watch, they'll know it's a lady there that ain't too smart. I ain't going to say what I want to say because she was a cool person, but she wasn't that smart. And I'm like, y'all really let her stay? She couldn't even handle a class by herself when the other teacher left, but y'all let her stay? And y'all let me go, but my class was hot, but because I'm different. And that sucks that, like you said, you gotta act, they come in the class, seeing what I'm doing. It's like, dang, you was just here yesterday. What you doing here? Ain't nothing going on that's gonna be any different, but because we look different and we operate different, they on our head. So, what is give me like one or two tools or skills that you will be giving to the youth workers when you work with them?
Well, Let Them Talk is about effective communication. I think that's something that's desperately needed now. That will help us with our violence. That will help us with our economics. Because a lot of times we suffer in silence. We won't even speak up and ask for help. And Let Them Talk is promoting you to speak up. Say what's on your mind. What do you feel, need, and want? Because if we don't hear their voices and we suffer in silence, what do we think they're going to do when we get older? We're going to change. And that's what I work with my kids on. Life don't change until you turn 18. It don't magically become easy. I promise you it don't. And if we don't start working on a plan right now, don't dig yourself a hole. A lot of us adults have dug ourselves a hole, and it's hard to get out of it. And we don't want our kids to fall into that trap, but sometimes we don't know how to communicate that to them. But as we work on effective communication, not only with our kids, but with our youth workers, and with our parents that come out, we can start having these conversations and start healing. Because a lot of times healing doesn't start because we don't know that they're hurt. And we don't know how they're hurt. And we're afraid to have those conversations sometimes. So we need to initiate our effective communication.
And I'm sorry. I think the other part of that of effective communication is the collaboration and partnerships that will be kind of reinforcing and empowering each of those entities to do. How can the schools really lean on these community organizations to come in and support them? But also, how can the community and the family feel supported by the school and by these community organizations? And then how can these community organizations feel supported by the school and the families? And so really wanting to enhance that and stress the importance of collaboration and partnership. Like I said, we're not coming in trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just coming in saying, like, how can we work together with things that are already here? How can we put different things together? And I think one of the main struggles right now, especially with some community organizations that especially do like mentoring and tutoring, they're struggling to even get inside of the schools to be able to provide that service, but they're also struggling to get the academic records, they're struggling to get the behavior records, they're struggling to get all those things from the school, so that when the kids do come there for their after school programs, they don't even know what to work with them on, because yes, parents have signed that release of information, but whoever's up there in that front office or whoever's up there is like, no, I'm not giving you this, whatever. It's a whole thing. And it's like, why? That's what this community organization is here for, to provide this support to this family. Let them do that. And so hopefully we will be able to bridge some of those gaps and create that awareness so that schools can feel more comfortable connecting with those community organizations and not kind of operating in their silos, and teachers are not getting burned out and feeling like they got to do it all by themselves. No, lean on the people that are here. You got all these organizations. Let them come in and work with these kids. But also for families to feel supported, for these single moms or single dads or two household families or grandma or uncle or auntie, whoever it is taking care of these kids, for them to also feel, supported at the same time, like they are not just in this alone. And so I really think that's the other part to it. It is just that collaboration and that partnership and that triangle.
In addition to that, Let Them Talk will be a space to really challenge and shift our youth workers paradigm, right? And bring awareness to racism, right? Bring awareness to cultural differences, because historically we have been conditioned to think we all are equal. Our Constitution says that, right? But we have yet to get to the point that we actually are equal. Why? Because we are not having spaces that allow real conversation. To say, check your privilege. If you didn't know you were privileged, let's have a conversation so you can see that. In addition to that, bring awareness to what's being spewed out against our community. It is now illegal for our kiddos to get therapy and that social emotional learning. There's laws against it. It is now illegal, right, to teach certain parts of history, right? So getting in those rooms and challenging these lawmakers. First of all, let's make it cool to vote. Yeah. Right? Let's challenge our black and brown people to actually go to the poll, because historically we don't vote. Why? Don't do nothing anyway. These people fought long and hard because they realized voting is a part of your voice. And we keep re-electing the same people that are making so many things hard. It's hard. It's illegal for a child to go in and talk about his mom and his mom, or his dad and his dad. It's, oh, you don't talk about that. We're going to get you suspended because of that conversation. We are creating a lot of laws that is making it hard and difficult for our communities to actually thrive. And we have to start voting and getting people in these rooms and in these seats that are saying, hey, we see it. And we have to change that. We don't want to continue that narrative. And that's what Let Them Talk will be. Let Them Talk. We challenge ourselves with these difficult conversations. What we're talking about, we've talked to each other and we challenge our own thinking. And we go, maybe that is something we should look into. a continuation of conversation. In addition to that, it's bringing these silos in. We are not, I think we've said it a few times, I think we need to get t-shirts made now. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not. But allowing silos to come in and say, hey, don't take my people though. Because a lot of times we're not the first people to do this. Right. But the difference between us and them, you were really trying to come in and be that one-stop shop and dismiss everybody else in the community. No, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to, you do a great job with that. How can we collaborate? Because you've already invented the wheel. Yeah. Let's come in and fine-tune it now, right? I'm not trying to I was in a conversation and this, not going to name the people, but they're doing these wonderful family community centers across Indiana, and they got a lot of pushback because they were these silos that were doing the work. They were now getting shut down because everybody was going there. Your mom and pop, your mom groups that were creating spaces for moms just to talk, your dad groups, your youth worker groups. All of those are being counseled because no, come over here. We got it. That's not what we're doing. We're allowing those silos of space to say, hey, I don't want to do that no more. I just had to write the grant because it's a part of my job. I really don't want to do that. I am afraid of black people. It's okay to say that. And let them talk. It is okay to say that because that allows us to have the appropriate conversation to shift your paradigm. Why are you afraid? Because you've been conditioned since you were 2 and 3. Your mom picked you up when the black family came in the park and you guys ran away. Teaching you at that age, run from black people, they're not safe. Mm-hmm. So I can't fault you at 30 for being conditioned at 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. However, it is time for you to shift your paradigm.
That's so real. Right? Because as you get older, you understand that. Like, you understand racism ain't really, we try to make it change, it ain't never going to change to where we would want it to, but it's always been around. It's not like it just happened just because we see it more on media. Like, that stuff towards us always happen. But with what you're saying with voting, I'm not going to lie, I ain't voting until Obama. And my mama told me to vote, and I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Then I went again, and I think I voted, and then I started realizing it's not that election. It's the ones that we don't never go to that's in May. The local ones is the ones that really do the effective work that we want to change. And we don't know that. We think it's just go vote for the president and he can do it. And we mad at the president. He can't do nothing. He can do some stuff, but he can't do nothing. He got to go through a list of people just to get approved for something. And we don't know that. Yeah. And that's where I love that you guys are going to do that because I was one of them people. It don't matter who the president is, my life ain't gonna change. Like, that's how I thought. And that's important, because we don't know that. And we can get the young people to start voting earlier. It won't take them till they're 30 to realize, we need to do something different. So I like that you said y'all have those conversations, because I wanted to ask, like, what has been a lesson for each of you working with each other?
I know my writing has changed. This girl can write a dissertation in 10 seconds. So she's definitely challenged how I write. I can talk all day long, but it's how I put it on paper, how I tell the story, how I'm leaving that blueprint for someone else. Because like I love to have conversations. It's kind of how we started. There was a conversation, and she said, "We got to put it on writing." We can talk all day long, but if it's not tracked, it doesn't mean anything. So working with her specifically has definitely challenged me to write things down, to think and be strategic on what I'm saying in sentence structures, right? Daniel keeps that fire lit. Yeah. He keeps you remembering that why. Yeah. He keeps you remembering, and as calm as he is right now, he is consistently this calm. Whereas I'm radical and I want a big microphone, I want to scream at it. He's like, "Hey, man, you can do the same thing." You got it. So he's definitely that calm in the storm, because I'm ready to hit you. Yeah. He's like, "Hey, man, you cool? We got it. We in the room. You want to be in the room? We in the room. Sit down now." So he definitely keeps me level headed.
So, all right. But the two of them, I'm like, oh God, I gotta talk a little bit better. Put my words together. This is okay. So I write really well, but when it comes to speaking, it's like I can't keep up. But I think that's one of the things that, again, like that, we're able to kind of bounce off of each other, play on each other's strings, and I think we're starting to learn that about each other the more time that we spend together. But I think Daniel, again, what Anthony said, but also like really challenges our perspectives and our thinking to think differently. I have been in this field for a very long time, but I also come from child welfare. I come from that background, so I'm kind of always thinking in that lens of abuse and neglect, in those things. And so, and then talking to Daniel, it's like, no, those things are not okay. We ain't got to accept that. Like, who told you we got to be okay with it? And I'm like, you sure is right. And so really challenging our perspective, challenging our thinking. But I think for me, Anthony gives me like, a lot of times I just want to just do stuff. And sometimes you're like, yep, let's roll with it. But sometimes you're like, come back, hold on a minute. Like, let's try to like think this out. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Cause I'll have 17 ideas in my head. And you're like, what can we do now? Or what can we tackle now? Or what's the focus? What's the goal? And so I appreciate both of them for really kind of centering me, because a lot of times I can be really excited, especially if I'm passionate about it. And I just want all these things to happen like at one time. I just want it all right now. But they're just like, settle down and relax. So I appreciate that, and I need that energy from them. But I also think it's like a brother sisterhood thing. And I just feel like the sister that's here. But it feels good to be respected. It feels good to be protected. It feels good to be able to be who I am, speak how I want to talk, speak how I want to speak, show up as I am. But then like they support me in what I'm saying and what I'm doing, so it doesn't feel like there's any power differential. That like we're all on the same field here. And so I just appreciate having that from both of them.
Thank you for hearing me. So working with these two individuals let me know that greatness has never resided in one person. And just to watch their creativity and their mastery in their craft has really been an inspiration. I got a lot of passion, I got a lot of fire, I got a lot of vision. But you know what? They know how to put something together. And I would look at it and I'm taking them back. Because they've honed in on their craft, they become masters at what they do. And I appreciate that, and that pushes me to become greater at what I do, because if it's not for Heather's writing or Anthony's graphic design, I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow. So how can I give the best version of me? Because they're giving the best version of them. But they're just pushing me to be a better me. And I appreciate that, because if you love me, you're going to hold me accountable. You're going to hold me accountable to not being as good as I am today, but being better tomorrow. And that's one thing I really admire about them. Now, I can't keep up as far as they mess. I be trying. But what I've learned is sometimes they offer you praise because they're watching and they're helping me grow. Just like I want to watch and help them grow. And we're becoming a soul family. And that's something that's really important and it's vital, because if we don't have a soul family and we're talking about living in this carnal world, we're in trouble. Because we need to be alive, but we need to be able to hold on to each other when we ain't got enough to hold on to. So when I think of them, thankful, like, and not thankful for all the good things, thankful for the negative and the bad things, because it's not wins and losses, it's wins and lessons. So I appreciate all the wins and lessons, for sure.
I love that, because I can't wait till I get a team. Doing everything by yourself ain't fun. Like you said, greatness is a team effort. You gotta have somebody else with you. Even, the greatest players, they had coaches, they had people that helped them in areas in life. I always ask 3 tips. So, give the people 3 tips. It can be one from each one of y'all or however, having an idea of change and actually going out and doing it. Because there's a lot of people out there that have an idea of how they want to change, what they think of, but they never actually do it.
And I think that's one of the things we didn't want to be. We didn't want to just be one of those organizations that said, we're going to do all this stuff that looks good on paper, looks good on the website, but there's no action behind it. We did not want to do that. So I think I would just say, do it. Do it. But do it and be true to it. Like, if you really want to do it, do it. It took us over a year to do it, but we did it. And it wasn't because we didn't have the money or we had resources. No, we just wanted it to be right. We put together a team. We were very strategic with our team. It's 16 of us. Everybody is operating in their own greatness in their own spaces. We wanted to make sure that every piece of everything, from the colors to the graphics to just all the things, made sense. But we realized that we could not do it alone, and that we had to do it with people who were like-minded. And so I think for me, it was just like, you don't have to take on it alone. There's people out here that share the same vision of you, but you got to take the time to make sure that you can find those people and line up with those people that have that same vision. And also that everybody that you attach yourself to is not going to support you. Everybody that you attach yourself to is not going to want to be a part of what you're doing. But you gotta have some discernment. You got to spend some time in prayer about who you're going to connect yourself to, and what you're really trying to do. And just make sure, again, like, you remember that why, because that's what's going to continue to drive you. If you just come in here and you're like, oh, well, I just want to write this down and I want to do this because I want to get a $500,000 grant, or I want to get $1 million grant. Like, if you're coming into it just for like money, or thinking that you're just because you're going to get that, now you're all of a sudden this big thing in the city, like, you're still not making an impact. So make sure that if you are wanting to do this work, you're going to do that work, make sure you're doing it because you want to have an impact. That's what I was saying.
My 3 tips are, listen more, love unconditionally, and create. Listen to your coworkers, right? Listen to your youth that you're serving. And when you listen, love them unconditionally in the space that they're in. And then create those opportunities for change in your silo, in your school, in your home. We are creating a generation that inspires change. Mm-hmm. And I really want to focus on that word, inspire. We're not saying that we're the masters and we're going to create this generation that's going to cure and make the whole world a better place. But what we are creating is a generation that's going to inspire the people that are working for them to change. If little Tommy can get it, and he's talking in this room, why in the hell am I not? That's it.
I guess my one tip would be, the law just says everything takes place first in the spiritual or ethereal realm before it bears fruit into this realm. So understand, if you really want to make change, if it happens too immediate, it hasn't taken root. And if you want change for everybody else and you don't want change for yourself, it will therefore be unattainable because you can't give something that you have yet to acquire. And just stay steadfast with it. Understand your vision, understand your why, understand your purpose. Because it's not always going to be as great as you envision the end game to be. But if you understand why you're doing it, and you understand the law of gestation, because you're planting a seed now. But we can't be in too much of a hurry for it to grow. Especially if we're still active, like we were acting prior to planting the seed. So if we're planting the seed, and we're looking for these blessings to come in, we have to set the stage for them. And if we don't set the stage for them, we have put ourselves not only in a frustrating situation, but we have become liars. And it's time for our community to quit lying to ourselves and saying that we want these things and asking for handouts. We're not going to put our hands out or put our hands up anymore. We're going to be hands on.
I love it. I need a quote. It could be from one of y'all, all of y'all, but I need a quote.
Life is what we make it. What is, and what will be, we will create.
All right. So, tell everybody tell them about y'all event first, and then tell them how they can reach y'all.
So we are having our official launch party and networking event. Yay! Friday, September 29th here at P30, from 6:30 to 9:30. So we're very, very excited, for that event and for people to come out and just learn who we are, meet the team, hear about all of the things that we're going to be doing. We'll be offering free headshots to people. We're going to have some appetizers, some drinks, some music, and just really a time for us to really celebrate this initiative, but again, to also be in the space with some other youth workers, some community people in the community, some parents, whoever shows up that just wants to be here to support. And so we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let Them Talk Indie, at all of those. And then our website is letthemtalkindie.com. So you can find all of our information there. Contact us. There's a link that says donate as well if you would like to do that. That is there for you. But yeah, so on social media, on all of those different at Let Them Talk, on those different platforms. So yeah, come out and celebrate with us. You can register. We would love for you to register. We would absolutely love for you to register. But just come on in as well. You can come on in. We're going to be here. You can register. The event is the official Let Them Talk networking event and launch party on Eventbrite. So you can also get that there as well.
Question. Y'all cool gonna be better than the conferences?
Absolutely.
We hit the ground running.
You have to make sure. I appreciate y'all for coming on. Appreciate y'all for what y'all doing, because y'all definitely gonna be able to change not just here but all over, and the value that y'all added, because y'all all had different aspects, and you just cool, calm, and collected. Do you fish?
No,
at the hat. Y'all all gave different perspectives, and I love it. One of y'all give a closing. I hate saying closing word. I don't know how to figure it out. The closing word.
Yeah. So, a wise man once told me, by his stripes we are healed, and that's what Let Them Talk is. We're going to take the stripes for our community. Bless you.
You're doing great.